Subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to never miss any updates.
Okay. Hi, Shreya. Thank you for accepting my invitation for the show. And first of
Hi,
all,
Anuj.
first of all, before getting started, I want you to introduce yourself so that our audience can get to know about you.
Hey everyone, I'm Shreya Pattar. I'm a freelance content writer, freelance content creator. You could call me an agency owner now since I work with a small team of mine and mainly, offer marketing services to clients in and out of, I guess, across the globe. And if you've seen me on Instagram or on YouTube, then I am probably teaching freelancing there. So if you're a new freelancer, then that's the space to find me because that's where I teach freelancing rather than, pitch my services to clients. So yeah, that's what I do. And excited to be here on the podcast with Anuj and looking forward to talking a little bit more about content writing and freelancing.
All right, that's great. And trust me, I have been following Shreya for last 4 to 5 months, and I regularly follow the content that she posts, and it is really amazing. So if you are just a beginner in the world of freelancer, and if you want to learn a lot of things about how to get started in the journey of freelancing, that Shreya can be the best source that you can leverage. So it's amazing, and I also feel great to have you on my podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. So first thing that I want to ask you is that how did you find that you should go ahead with content writing? That there are many other niches that you would have go with, but why did you pick content writing other than anything else?
I picked being a doctor initially. I wanted to be a doctor. That was my first career, goal or idea of, where I saw myself. But over the years, it turned out, and especially during high school, it turned out that that's something I'm still very fascinated by. I love, reading about the human body, knowing how it works, things like that. I love talking about medicine, talking to people who are doctors. But I realized that that's not something that I want to do full time. And I decided to pursue literature instead, which is why I moved to Dublin. I studied English and philosophy. And I got into freelancing pretty much by fluke because once I started posting content on LinkedIn, people started messaging me saying, hey Shreya, we love what you wrote. So can you write for us as well? And that's how I got into freelancing. So this whole idea of writing in my head, it was just writing. It was just a very broad, vague. Okay, I write poems. I write about my life. I'm good at writing. People like what I write. So you know what? I want to be a writer. I never had any idea of what it meant to be a writer because I guess the most common idea of being a writer is you write a novel, you write a book, you're an
Yes.
author. But again, that's not where I saw myself either. I think the main reason how I got into content writing specifically rather than any other form of writing was because of my internship. So once I finished my 12th grade, once I finished high school, I took up a few internships with PR agencies and media houses. And most of my role was as a content writing intern. So at that point, I learned a lot about, social media copy, web copy, brochures, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you name it. I learned about that. And I realized I'm good at it. I want to keep doing it. And that's why I do what I do. So yeah,
All right.
that's how I ended up here, content writing.
Yeah, it has been amazing journey, and you have been writing content for more than three to 4 years, I guess.
Yeah, specifically freelancing, it's been 2.5 years. But in
Okay.
general, I've been writing since I was really young. So I've been writing since I was 8 years old. So it has been many, many years since that interest in writing and that interest in putting things out there it's been a long-term process and a long-term journey.
Yes, and also we have to keep learning about all the things, because the writing methods keeps changing. What works on the internet today will not work tomorrow. So
Yeah,
it's always a learning process.
yeah.
Another thing that I would like to ask you is that you mentioned that you have been studying in Dublin, Ireland, right?
hmm
So, what are your thoughts on the education system and the lifestyle of Dublin and Ireland?
I really enjoyed it because um, I'm not in Dublin right now, but I spent 3 years in Dublin, and I think that the way Dublin worked out for me in terms of every opportunity that came my way, I started freelancing, because of that. I was in Dublin, something happened, I wrote a post about it, and things kept catching on. My college was definitely, a great place to be in because I studied in Trinity, so it was a great place to be in and be exposed to so many new people, new opportunities, and the choice of subject I had was also very different, English and philosophy. And with my interest in business, it meant I spent a lot of time in the business school as well. So I think all of these things, they just ended up coming together, and they changed my life in ways that wouldn't have happened anywhere else, because I think, I had to be in that place, and I think I was in that place at the right time for, things to just start clicking and, work together. So that's how I see Dublin. For me, it was a very life changing experience. It's what led me to where I am today. Just being in that space, being independent, of course, I think it's very important when you are staying away from your family, when you're responsible for your own self, and not just for like studying and going to college, but for just living, for cooking, for cleaning your house, and things like that. When you're responsible for every single thing, it creates a different impact on you. It makes you value things much more. Especially for me, every time I was, let's say I was cooking, or every time I was buying groceries, I was so mindful of, the money and the conversion and everything. So it really puts a different kind of idea, okay, and value of things in life, that okay, you want to take care and you want to, as much as possible, you want to make sure that you are able to provide for yourself as well. So it gives you that kind of independence and responsibility that I don't think anything else gives. So for me, that place was Dublin, and yeah, I'm really happy with my choice, and I'm really glad I got to spend so much time there.
And yeah, I mean, that's really great. I've heard a lot that the students who study in developed countries, like you are in Ireland and there are England, United States, Canada, Australia, they always say that they have been learning a lot because they are facing a huge many responsibilities alone. So it's a great
Yeah,
way to learn the way of living.
yeah,
I've heard a
definitely.
lot about that. So now if we focus on the content writing, that uh, I always, when you always speak about, you used to say every content that you post on Instagram, it's mostly on specific to freelancing and content writing. And the only thing that I have, the big question in my mind is that about the search engine optimization, which is SEO. So
Okay.
when you write content, that means, for example, when you provide an article to your client, do you do you send the article which is SEO optimized, or you just focus on the writing part and you are not focusing a lot more on the SEO stuff?
The SEO is a different service. The thing is, right now, many people are overlapping it with content writing, but that's not the case. It's an entirely different skill set, and it's an entirely different service, which is not something I offer right now. So, in my limited capacities, I work with clients for their SEO as and when I can, but that's not my core service. And since I don't know much about it, since that's not my core expertise, I would say that I'm not the right person to guide you on it at this point.
Okay, so actually, for those who have no idea about SEO, that means when you search anything on Google and when you read any articles, when you find any articles in the top of the page, it is because they are ranked with high rank by Google. So if you want to rank your article, then you need to learn how the search engine optimization works. And your article and your blog and your website is SEO optimized, then there are chances that your website, your blog will rank higher. So this is how the SEO work. And I just want to share my experience that when I was doing a job as a content writer in an IT company here in my city, so I had to focus a lot more on the SEO stuff. So, for example, as you just said that you are not focusing a lot more on SEO and your focus is on providing great content. And when in SEO, when I was doing job, I need to fix the keywords in the content, and that was
Mhm.
really trouble.
Yeah.
So
Right.
when you try to put your ideas in words and you just have to fix these kind of keyword, it becomes very difficult to arrange all the things. So I can completely understand that why you are focusing a lot more on doing what you do rather than SEO. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I have done SEO, so it's not from my side. That's the thing. So it's not. I'm not going to do the keyword research because again, that's not my skill set right now. That's not something I'm leaning towards. But yes, I've had that list of keywords, fit them in somehow, and it is definitely a challenge. So I think the only thing to keep in mind is to not overstuff your article with keywords. If you're trying to include a keyword in every single line, which I've had experience with some clients who wanted to do that, and you have to really explain why that's not how it works. So yeah, I would say every content writer should have the basic idea of what SEO is, how it works, and what is definitely a no-no on the SEO to-do list. But just understand that so that you can work with your clients better, and so that you can even explain to them what you're doing, why you're doing it, and why you're not doing something. It just helps both of you out, I think, in better ways.
Also, I want to add one more thing is that if you have just basic knowledge of search engine optimization, you can say that I can write content which is uh, basic basic SEO optimized. So you can say you can add some more amount on that too. So this is how you can start your freelancing content writing journey as well. So the as you just said that you have, I think, 2 to 3 people, and as you have 2 to 3 people, it is now an agency. You are not you are not considered as a freelancer. So how does it help you? Is do you give work them for writing or focus on researching and all such things? Because in writing you also have to do a lot of research, and if you get a topic of research, then you can get a complete idea that what are the core topics to focus. So are your content to are your the people that you have hired focus more on um, I mean writing stuff or researching stuff, or what they do actually?
I have 8 people on my team right now,
Oh,
and all of
that's
them have different skill sets. So it's not just content writers, but basically anyone and everyone you would need to market yourself. So let's take Instagram, for example. You need someone for the videos, you need someone for the graphics, you need someone for the content. So there's a lot going on. And I would say that initially it was a bit difficult for me as well to understand exactly how to start giving out work. What am I supposed to do, if everything's done? So after that, with time, I have understood what each of my teammates' skill sets are, and accordingly I have given them tasks. So it's not just research, it's also a lot of writing work. There's I would say at this point more of I'm focused on a certain part of the service, whereas my team helps me out with the rest. So that's how we work together. And yeah, so it's an agency. You could, yeah, that's why I would say I call myself an agency owner now, because, we're all just working together. The main difference I would say between an agency and a freelancer is the reason I still call myself a freelancer or a freelance content writer first is because the nature of the work, or the nature of the way that I deal with my business. I'm still the solo person who's working on maximum things. I'm still the one finding leads. I'm still the one with the personal brand. I'm the one that people are coming to, not to my agency. They're coming and they're asking me for work, not an agency. So that's why I would still keep calling myself as an agency owner, yet a freelance content writer. So it's a bit of a mix of both, I guess, in weird ways.
it's like Gary V for Vayner Media.
Maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, we can call it something like that. And I mean, my experience towards Indian clients are not good. So I actually, when I take clients, when I think about getting projects online, I focus a lot more of the client where he lives, the country where he lives. Sorry.
Right.
So I specifically don't give content writing service to Indian clients.
Mhm.
My focus is always remains more on the US and Canada. So do you have any kind of bad experiences? Because I don't have good experience with Indian clients, and I should say Asia specific clients, but I have very good relation and experience with my US and Canadian clients. So what are your thoughts on this?
I've had bad experiences in general. So especially I think in the beginning, because when I started out, I wasn't sure on my terms. I wasn't sure. I hadn't spoken to a lot of people. So, I would believe them and they say we'll pay you later. Or, this is a small piece of work. This is the only piece of work, things like that. I just didn't have enough experience. But in the past 2.5 years, I've spoken to like 1,000 people. And when you speak to so many people, you just end up developing this intuition, this gut feeling that, okay, this person is probably not going to be a good person to work with, no matter where they're from, no matter how much they pay you, no matter how accepting they are, how readily they pay you, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter because your instinct will mostly be right with the idea that this person may not be a good person to work with. So I would say it's not really about the location for me, but it's for me, I depend more on my instinct. So if I feel like something's off and it's not going to be a good deal here, I try to, walk away from it as soon as possible. If I don't walk away as soon as possible, I'll probably end up walking away after a week because my gut would be right and it would not work out great. So that's what happens. It's not really location as much as it's just certain people. They may not be bad clients in general. They may be a really good client for you, but I just don't think that me and that person would be the right fit right now. So I would say I'm more intuition dependent, which is not as bad a thing because your intuition is usually right because it's your intuition. So yeah, I think that's a good metric to consider as well when you decide whether you want to work with someone or not.
Because see, as you talk with more people, you always get to know that whoever is right to work with, or it is not a good person to
Yeah.
work with. As you rightly said, I totally agree with you. I don't have that much of experience. As you just said, you talk with thousands. I haven't talked with, I mean, I've talked with hundreds, but I don't have that kind of experience. So slowly and
Mhm.
steadily I will also learn this skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
So uh, another thing that is regarding niche. So I mean, not every content writer can write about all the industry, right?
Yeah.
So in which kind of industry you focus, whether it is like marketing, finance, beauty industry, and all such things we can consider as industry specific, or as you have an agency, you can offer any kind of content that the client wants.
I started out with any kind of content, so I've taken up really broad work just because um, it felt best for me. I had time. I didn't have a lot of clients, of course, when I started out. I had time to just say yes and see how it works out, just experience different things. So I just, as and how work came, and I just kept saying yes, yes, yes to whatever seemed right, to whatever paid me okay. Yes, 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 and just keep learning about different niches. And while doing those things, I realized that, okay, this niche is something that I would definitely love to come back to at some point. This niche is something that I'm definitely never seeing again. Like, just get it out. And that only happened because I had all these different niches that I just kept saying yes to. And, it gave me the experience that, okay, this is yes, this is no, and this is a maybe. So now I do have a few fixed industries that I really enjoy writing in. Of course, if I get a good client, because I have this vast expertise in my team, and because even I'm open to always reading, learning, researching, and then writing about something, I can say yes to almost any topic that comes my way. But I guess my favorite ones would probably be marketing related, would be tech, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So I like to write about tech entrepreneurship, and I like to write about fitness. So these are my three core favorite points to talk about. Except of course business, because freelancing is a business in its own way. So I love to talk about freelancing, about content creation. That's something I talk about myself on my as my personal brand, on my Instagram, on my LinkedIn. So those are my whatever favorite topics. I love talking about business. But other than that, in terms of clients, I'm definitely more inclined towards, say, digital marketing or fitness. With that being said, I guess the main question is like, if somebody is new, should they focus on a niche? Because it's not easy. It took me 2.5 years to decide, okay, this is my favorite thing to do. Even now, I don't have a niche. See, I gave you like three very broad
Yes,
topics, like
yes.
fitness. Okay, what sort of fitness? It's very broad, but that's because um, I'm still figuring it out. The only thing is that I can say is that I've come down from like 50 odd niches that I've written for to three, only because I experienced those 50. So if you're a new freelancer, that's what I would recommend. Just go in for as many niches as you want to go in for, and then eliminate based on that trial and error kind of thing. I think that works out best for anyone who's starting new.
Yeah. I also believe the same, that I still remember that I started my blog in 2017 in order to
Mm-hmm.
understand digital marketing, search engine optimization, and also to improve my English. I thought that it is the
Mm-hmm.
best way to get started with writing a blog, and what else can we do
Right.
in the college period. So I started a blog, and by the time I finished my engineering, I had written more than 200 articles. So regarding, and it was a completely vast industries, as you just said. I tried everything.
Okay.
I had written regarding
Yeah.
education. I had written regarding startups. I had written regarding business case studies and all such things. But then after 1 and 2 years, I realized that I was good in personal finance and investing. So I put that away, that I am not going to focus a lot more on business and startup related things. I'm focusing a
Mm-hmm.
lot more on personal finance and investing, and it works for me because
Right.
it pays me well, because international clients have been loving it. So it's
Great.
like a same
Yeah.
journey regarding the niche
Yeah.
selection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a very natural way to find out your niche, because I would say don't overcomplicate it. Don't try to first find your niche and then find clients and then start freelancing. Instead, just take the natural way and get just start working, and then you can decide whether you want to work for a certain niche or not. That just comes with time, I would say.
Yes, exactly. So, as a
Yeah.
business owner, how hiring a content writer is beneficial? Because uh, if there is a business owner who had no relation with the world of internet, he would say that why to hire a content writer, and who is just a new, who has just get started his business in the world of internet. So how can we define that the content writer is extremely beneficial for business, that content writer can do a lot of things like video scripts, uh, then copywriting, then social media post, all these things that a content writer can manage. So how you would convince that content writer is a great investment for business?
I think the pandemic is the best convincer at this point, because I mean, any person who has lived through this pandemic, if they have a phone, they understand the importance of the internet. They understand exactly how much they had to rely on the internet to not just be aware of what's happening around the world, to be aware of the number of cases or whatever it may be, but also to order their food, to order their groceries, to get healthcare, to just book appointments online, to get everything. I mean, everything is just appointment based, especially right now during the pandemic. Anything you can think of, you have to book it. You have to check for it before you step into that place. So yeah, so I think that's the best example that um, it's been said for quite a few years now that if you are not online, it's like you don't exist. So if you're not
Exactly.
online, your business doesn't exist. And the no better explanation than using the scenario of the pandemic, because only the businesses that were able to sell something online, that were able to continue being present online, have their doors open online, were the ones that could at least be visible, at least be in people's minds, so that even once things opened up, people would, remember and go to their store. So that's the biggest thing you have, that a content writer is someone who's going to help you build that presence. If you are working with the right person, they're going to help you get that update, that information, that story of yours out there. And be it in terms of like a website, be it in terms of your social media, be it in terms of your WhatsApp outreach, whatever you want to call it, that's where a content writer steps in, where they're making, a content writer is making you visible online. And that's definitely something you want, especially in a pandemic world. So that's the explanation.
Yeah, totally agree with you. So the question that I'm going to ask you right now is, you have asked several times on your Instagram, in the Instagram Q&A session, but still I want your in-depth reply. So do you believe that freelancing is better than full-time job?
See, I don't think that there's anything better. I just put out a Q&A even today, and somebody asked me, is there anything better than freelancing? I don't know, not for me. Because whenever I talk about something that I love or something that's important to me, I talk about it in context with myself. It's something that I've grown up with. I've always wanted to have my own business. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to be a leader. I have always had that leaning towards doing my own thing, realizing my own vision, working for myself, because I just never saw myself doing something for someone else. It just never happened. Which is why freelancing seems like the best, right, first step for me. I wouldn't say that freelancing is it for me. This is not it. This is barely the beginning. I just got started like 2.5 years ago, and I think I've picked up only in the last 1.5 years. Before that, it was not even as close to what it is now. So I'm just getting started, and I think freelancing is the right stepping stone for me to something bigger. But the whole comparison with a job, it just doesn't exist for me, because a job was never, ever in my head in the first place. It was never an option for me. So to answer, freelancing or job, well, for me, it was never an option. For me, it was always something independent, and be it having a startup or having your own agency or whatever. For me, it started with freelancing by fluke or by luck, or, whatever you want to call it. But for anyone else, it may be something else, because that's your interest. That's how you work. That's how you prefer to work. So there's no pro and there's no pro and con as such. Vaguely, if I were to write a listicle of, pros and cons of jobs and freelancing, I would say the best thing I love about freelancing or about working for yourself is that there is unlimited potential of earning and of working. So when you talk about freelancing, and when people say, how much can I earn with freelancing? I say there's no limit. There's no upper limit. Like you can say okay, you can minimum, I can say that you can definitely, let's say, earn $100 a month. Definitely you can do that. But there's no upper limit. Do you want to earn 1,000? Do you want to earn 10,000? 1 lakh? 100 lakh? I don't know. Whatever you want, imagine it and you can do it. Whereas a job is more of a linear progression. But then again, I would say a job is something where
most people feel comfortable,
occupied with work. Most people do feel comfortable, yes. But also, I for me, it's more like, the only thing I see, like the thing that I see good about a job is that even after my work is done, even when I'm going to sleep, I'm constantly thinking about my freelancing business. I'm thinking about the calls that I have set up. I'm thinking about the podcast that I have to do. I'm thinking about the post that I have to put out tomorrow. Thinking about the client that I onboarded today. How do I start working with them? What is the next step? I'm constantly thinking about something. Whereas when you're in a job, it's not really your responsibility to think about the company all the time. So I would say that's sort of a benefit of the job. Like, you can forget everything, and so for me, there's no comparison, because freelancing was something that I've always leaned towards. Yeah.
Okay. And since the pandemic started, I've observed that there are tons of businesses who have started prefer to hire freelancers rather than hiring a full-time employee. So based on this, I have read tons of articles in Economic Times where it was mentioned that There are many companies, mid-level companies, who are not hiring full-time employees, and they are focusing a lot more hiring a contract based, like we can say freelancers. So we can say that in the long run, after 5-10 years, this brand will continue to grow, that businesses would not prefer to pay a full salary to the employees, and they would prefer to have freelancers for their companies. So according to me, it is just my opinion. You can share your own opinion as well. In the field of in any field, I should say, like graphic design, web development, web designing, content writing, uh, financial planning, and all such things, freelancing is going to boom in the next 5 to 10 years, because the pandemic has changed everything towards the way people think.
Right. I think so, because first the work has gone remote, so it doesn't matter where the freelancer is based. Like, I was in Dublin for the longest time, but people from all over the world contacted me. It's so easy. It's so convenient to work with anyone you like, no matter where they're from or where they're based right now. So that was the first benefit. That earlier, I think before the pandemic, everyone was still adamant on at least having a freelancer who's based in the same city. I never understood the logic of that, because I'm working remotely anyways, but they still wanted someone in the same city just in case we need to meet, just in case we need to have a meeting, or I need to show you something, blah blah. But with the pandemic, the whole option of meeting anybody was just gone. It never existed anymore for at least a year. So that's when I think most people were like, okay, I don't care where you're based. I don't care about your time zone. As long as you can get the work done, I'm happy to work with you. That's how it became. And the second thing is also that for freelancers, it's usually just the, you are paying, like, let's say a company who's hiring a freelancer, let's say even for a long contract, is mainly paying the fee of the freelancer, as opposed to, let's say, a company that's hiring an employee. They have to take care of a lot of other things, a lot of other
Yes.
responsibilities. There's a lot of other, I'm not sure exactly how it works in India, but there's a lot of other insurances and, things like that tied to having an
Insurance,
employee.
PF, and all
Uh,
such things.
yeah. So whatever, all these financial things that add on to hiring an employee. But I think the best way would be to have a mix of both, to have an employee
Okay,
and a
yeah.
freelancer, because you should definitely have a few people who are stable, who are loyal to who you are as a company, because they are the ones who really help you grow. They work on the inside. They know exactly who you are, what you do. And you would still need someone. Let's say I'm a founder of a company. I would need at least few people who can then work with freelancers, because I also don't want to directly deal with freelancers for something like content. I want to be focusing on client acquisition. I want to be focusing on investors. I want to be focusing on the other things that
Yes,
are,
yes.
going to take the company up and up. So I would say a blend is super important. You need a few people who are loyal. It's very important in a business to have loyal people, because those are the people, if they care about your company, those are the people who will help you grow. Whereas freelancers, you're lucky if you can find a good freelancer who sticks with you for like a long time. In all of these years, there's only one client that I've been working with for almost 18 months, almost like 1.5 years. There's only one client I've been working with. So you can imagine, out of how many clients, there's only one person who stuck with me for 1.5 years. So that's the thing about freelancing. Either the freelancer wants to leave or the company wants to leave. So you should definitely have somebody who sticks by you. So I think a blend is definitely important. I think companies should have both.
Yeah. So according to you, hybrid approach is the best way to go ahead for the 5-10 years of
Yeah.
period.
That's what I would prefer. I wouldn't say that I would want employees to be there. I don't want them next to me. I just want them to be somebody who's stuck with the company, who's there. Not stuck mean like they're stuck out of, compulsion, but they're stuck meaning they are close knit together. They are the glue that's holding everything together and, helping it rise. So even if they're remote, but I think that's the future. I think remote work is definitely the thing. That's I think non-negotiable. But you should definitely have a few people who are fixed with next to you. That kind of stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
So it was nice having you on my podcast. But before closing up, I want you to tell about your ebooks. that you
Mhm.
have money calls and I think anthology, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
So
tell us about your ebooks.
sure. So my first ebook, hashtag anthology, that came out last year, 2020. And that's mainly a collection of my best LinkedIn posts. So I've covered a lot of topics like freelancing, mindset, and that's an ebook that I recommend to everybody, anybody and everybody who's either new to freelancing, just doesn't know where to start, or just has never what do you say, purchased an ebook. Just doesn't know, what is the purpose of it, doesn't understand exactly which one to go in for. I think that's the perfect ebook because it covers so many different points. And hundreds of people have read hashtag anthology. Everyone really enjoyed it. So I think that's definitely like a must have from my side. And the second ebook is Money Calls. I released it just a few months ago. Um, and Money Calls was more of not just a collection of something, but more of one topic. So Money Calls is all about how you can conduct prospect calls, how you can convert them into clients, how you can, quote your fees, negotiate. Most importantly, how you can get paid while on the call. Because this is something new I learned from someone else. And I really loved, just being like, just if you're talking on the phone right now, I'll just be like, hey, Anuj, if you're okay with everything, can you make the payment to me right now? And you just open your PayPal and the money is with me right now. I think that's very cool because it takes away the whole payment terms, advance payment, back and forth, and everything's just gone. And you're focused on getting started with the work because everything's so quick. So that's what I teach in Money Calls. And again, hundreds of people have read it. People love it. People have closed big, big, big deals with it. And I think Anuj will probably add the links to
Yes,
the
for
ebook
sure.
somewhere around. Yeah, so then you can check it out. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are my ebooks.
Yeah, that's great. I saw in your profile that you post regarding the reviews of your book, and I'm really amazed that people are genuinely loving the ebook, the concept of ebook. Because if I'm not wrong, people are not that much comfortable reading ebooks, but still you
Yeah.
manage to get this amount of audience, and that is really great. I mean, that's really awesome.
Thank you. So the first time, especially with the first ebook, hashtag anthology. First of all, I don't know a lot of people who published an ebook in my space. I don't know anyone in my area, in my space, who's done that. So when it came out as an ebook, a lot of people were not happy. So a lot of people messaged me, "Hey, where can we get the print? Is it on Amazon? I cannot read it." And I told them, just give it a shot. Just try it out because I have made the ebook in such a way that it's so visually appealing. Even if you read it on something as tiny as your phone, you can clearly read everything. Like I have strategically designed it in that way. And some people still hesitated, they didn't buy it, but some people actually ended up buying it. And the first thing they messaged me after reading the book is, Shreya, the format you've written it in was just so easy to read. I finished it in an hour, and I have not even done that for any, printed book in my entire life. So people had, just really enjoyed the book. So I would say, just give it a shot. And that helped, with the second ebook. Then people were pretty confident. Okay, this works. And the second ebook, I did a much better job, even with the look and the layout and the insides of it. And yeah, I'm glad that my audience really loved it because I love reading the reviews, and more importantly, I love reading the success stories because that's why I've written the ebook, hoping that you get to experience some successes because of
Yeah, I mean, it feels great that if you have written something and the audience are getting a lot of benefit by reading your own ideas and
yeah,
your own thoughts, it's great feeling. So finally, I
yeah.
thank you so much for accepting the invitation, and it was nice having you on the podcast. I will put link of all Shreya's Instagram handle and a link of the both ebooks in the description below. So, is there anything that you want to ask me?
I want to ask you, um, how did you come across my page, and why did you decide to invite me? Let's hear you out on that.
Yes, I mean, it was nearly 4 to 5 months ago that probably I saw you on the Instagram also. It was not LinkedIn. But
Okay.
when I checked your profile, I came to know that you have huge followings on LinkedIn as well. And it is that following
Mhm.
that you have on LinkedIn is nothing comparison to, I mean, Instagram is very small number of followers you have, and LinkedIn is very huge. I mean, it's so I checked your profile, and I found amazing that you as a content writer you have grown really good. So it was an inspiration for me that as a content writer I also needed to learn a lot of things. So I started following you, and then in last 2 months I started making podcast. So I contacted you,
Okay.
and here we go.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I really love, knowing where how people find me, because it's usually some random post that I don't remember, but it just sticks to someone. So I really like knowing about that. So yeah, thank you so much, and I really appreciate you inviting me. You're following up with me. I remember you followed up quite a few times.
Yes.
To
I
reach
have
to
asked
reach
you.
me.
I have asked you questions several times also.
Yeah, I definitely I do remember that. Yes.
Also, yes.
Yeah, so I'm really glad we finally got to do this podcast, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's been great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much.